Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of the program Times Exclusive here on Times Network. My name is Brian Banda. Glad you could join us tonight. The program is coming to you courtesy of Rainbow Pens. My guest tonight is Dr Sunduzwayo Madise, popularly known as Mfundisi. Dr Madise is the Dean of the School of Law at Chancellor College in Zomba. Tikutero kuti tikulandireni kwina kulikonse kumene mukutionera madzulo ano. Ndine Brian Banda ndi program inanso ya Times Exclusive. Akutipatsira programu iyi ndi Rainbow Pens.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Mulendo wanga programu iyi ndi Dr Sunduzwayo Madise, amatchedwa kwambiri kuti Mfundisi. Iwowa ndi Dean wa School ya Zamalamulo ku Chancellor College. Dr Sunduzwayo Madise, thank you very much for joining us tonight in Times Exclusive.
Thank you for having me.
We are meeting when the country is probably on fire. Are you worried?
In a way, yes. But I guess as a lecturer of law, no. Because these are events that define a country. And also in a way they define the law. So that's why I'm saying yes and no.
Let's look at the rule of law. Do you think the rule of law is being respected in this country?
I would also say yes and no. I would say yes and no because we have the framework, the legal framework for respecting the rule of law. Because the concept of rule of law is that everyone must accept the law and must let the law define rights of people. So when we say rule of law, essentially we are saying let the law rule. So in that sense, we have the structure. We have the constitution, we have the judiciary, and we have the other structures that are there to ensure that, for example, if you have a case, you can go to court. If you have a complaint, you can ask the law to help you. That's my yes part. My no part is that increasingly we see signs that sometimes there is what is called selective justice. And I must bring in a concept that we teach in law school called legal realism, which essentially says sometimes it's not just what the law is written on the books, but what is the law being practiced in reality. So that sometimes differs. So for example, we have seen sometimes cases where some people will break the law and then they are not, for example, taken to court.
Yeah.
Or they're taken to court and for whatever reason the matter that kind of stalls. And that's where you have no, in legal realism, you are trying to look at it and say, wait a minute, that's not what is supposed to happen. We are all supposed to be equal under the law. The law is supposed to be on top of us, and in Malawi we have the concept of constitutional supremacy. But increasingly, you see certain people, not only politicians, but even certain people who are powerful, in a sense, in society, kind of not being faced with the same sanctions that the law imposes on all of us. And me as a teacher of law, sometimes I get worried. But at the same time, I also realize that this is what happens throughout the whole world.
Is it supposed to be like that?
No, it's not supposed to be. But this is where you now have individuals who now want to influence the law. You must always realize that the law is a product of political settlements. So, for example, the law that we have the acts of parliament are actually passed in parliament. And parliament is not a house where you and me go. Parliament is a house of politicians. Therefore, the law that comes out of parliament is an illustration of the political settlement of parliament. And sometimes because of that, the law that comes out of parliament may reflect the political dynamics in parliament. And sometimes you and me as mere individuals, or as I call them, as buyazonkes. Buyazonkes. we might find that the law that is coming out is not what we expected. And that's where I'm saying that it's not supposed to be like
that. A typical example is when we wanted to have 50 plus 1 in Parliament. If we had 50 plus 1 passed that particular time, we could have not been where we are today as a country. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm not sure if passing the 50 plus 1 would have made it that people would not have complained or not. However, that said, I am an advocate for the 50 plus 1, because I really don't believe that the first past the post, which we're using now, gives a majority. Now, I know the Supreme Court ruled, I think in the first case of Gwanda Chakwamba, in which he sued the Electoral Commission, and I think at that particular time it was the United Democratic Front and the Bakiri Moros. And the Supreme Court said, no, in our system we just look at the one who was greater than the rest, and that is declared the winner. That's what the law says. I personally don't think that is good law, because sometimes you need to have a definite majority, where people are not sure. Now, from my understanding, it would seem to me, and I'm not a political analyst, but it would seem to me that most politicians prefer the system the way it is.
Yeah, they do.
Because of the fact that it just gives one who has an edge over others to go through. So, for example, you find that people are winning a particular contest with around 20-something% or 37%.
The current scenario, 38%.
So maybe that's
against
another.
62.
So you under the first past the post, yes, the person has won, but maybe we need to have embraced the law reform that was, because law reform, they go around and they consult the people.
The three arms of government. Do you think one is superior to the other?
Yes, that's the reality. In theory, we want them to be equal.
Yeah, that's right.
In practice, they're not.
Why? Why are we having
I'll
that
tell
problem?
you the problem that sometimes we have. The problem that we have is, so for example, the president. The president of Malawi is head of government. When we say head of government, we really mean head of the executive and also head of state. Those are two different functions. Now, the head of state, he's supposed to be in charge of the executive. He's supposed to be the head of the judiciary, and he's supposed to be the head of the legislature, parliament. Because the president of Malawi is also a member of parliament. Not a member of parliament, but he constitutes parliament.
Yeah, that's right.
Because parliament is made of the National Assembly and the president. And the National Assembly are the elected leaders. Now, for example, when the president goes to deliver the SONA, State of National Address, he is doing that as head of state. That is why when he goes there, he sits on the, I would call the throne, and there all the arms of government are present. The Chief Justice and his judges are there. The parliamentarians are there. The executive is there. Now he's opening it as head of state. When he sits in his cabinet, or makes decisions as an executive, member of the executive or the head of the executive, he's now head of government. Now, the problem we have in Malawi is that we have subsumed all these positions in one person. If you go to countries like Britain, which is a good example, the United Kingdom, the head of government or the head of the executive is the prime minister. The head of state is the queen. And when it's opening of parliament, the queen goes and opens the parliament and then withdraws. When it's time to appoint government, it's the queen who appoints government. So if we understand those roles, then we'll realize that the president of Malawi is unlike most presidents. For example, of South Africa and others. He is head of state. In South Africa, the president is elected by parliament. in UK, the prime minister is elected by parliament,
Yeah.
or the leader of the biggest party in parliament. So, because of that, it would be a naive to say that the president is equal with everyone else, because he's not. As head of state, he is above them all.
Is it supposed to be like that?
As head of in our system,
Yeah.
yes. But as head of the executive,
Yeah.
then they are at par with the rest of them.
Do you think our presidency has so much power?
It has. It's not even in dispute. It has. In fact, the current president, I think, did say so. I think in the last election, I think in 2014, I think in his manifesto, I remember that the DPP manifesto, he said, we're going to reduce the power of the president.
And he did not.
That is debatable whether he actually did, but I would say yes. I would say that I have not seen anything to show that the powers of the president have significantly diminished. I'm saying that because I am aware that certain laws have been passed in which the power of appointing of certain, for example, CEOs in organizations has moved from the president. So there has been some dilution, but I would say not enough.
Dr. Madise, funso lotsatira ali ndikufuna ndikufunseni mchichewa so that anthu ena amene mwina sangathe kutimvetsa mchingerezi akhoza kutsatira. Mdziko muno muli nkhani masankho sadayende bwino. Anthu ambiri akutero. In fact, we have people on the streets as we speak right now. Do you mukuganiza kuti anthu akulondola kupita pa msewu?
Palibe cholakwika. Malamulo a dziko linamanena kuti anthu ali ndi ufulu kupanga zionesero kapena kuonesa kusakondwa pa nkhani iliyonse, koma chofunika chonenda apange zimenezo mosatenga zida komanso mwamtendere. Ndiye ufulu ndi umene ulipo. Mwina chodandaulisapo ndi chimene chikumachitika chonena kuti anthu ena akumaphwanya malo anthu ena makamaka anthu ogulisa mashops, magrocery. Chodandaulisadi chimenecho. Koma malamulo a dziko linakupereka ufulu kwa munthu aliyense kuti ali ndi ufulu ndithu kupanga zionesero pa yekha kapenanso ndi anzake, kusonyeza pa kusakondwa pa nkhani ina iliyonse. Ufulu umene ali nawo.
Zipani za Malawi Congress Party ndi UTM zidapititsa nkhani ku court. Poyamba IMCP yankanena kuti tiwerengenso. Pano popeza nthawi yapita akunena kuti yayi tivotenso. Amalawi Electoral Commission adapita kukaletsa kuti nkhani isakangambidwe pamodzi ndi akuboma. Mukuzimva bwanji especially zimene anachita ameki popeza iwo ali ngati referee pa nkhani?
If ine ngati munthu woti ndimaphunzitsa malamulo pena ndinene chonchi. Ameki anayitidwa kumeneko ngati kuti akayankhepo pa nkhani imene inachitika. Nde iwo anapita kukanena kuti yayi nkhani imene imisidwe
Isakambidwe nkongo.
Koma kwambiri amathandizira amene ali a president pakali pano, Professor Mutharika. Koma apo amasukuti nkhani ikuakhuza tinene chilungamo.
Okay.
Pamene ko mwina ikuakhuzira ndipoti mwina Attorney General amene wankulu amene amayang'anira oyimira malamulo ndi amene akuyimira Electoral Commission. Koma boma ngati boma amene kuliziwira ayi nkhani imene palibepo. Fuka amene akuti ayankhepo ndi a Professor Mutharika komanso a Electoral Commission. Ineyo nakakondwa kuti mwina Electoral Commission ayisiye nkhani kuti mutu wake uoneke. Koma tiziwe ichi kuti amene anapita kukamang'ala ku courtiwo Lazarus Chakwera, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera ndi Dr. Salos Chilima, iwo analoza kuti amene tikufuna kuti ayankhe nkhani ndi a Professor Arthur Mutharika komanso a Electoral Commission. Uthandauza kunena kuti ayenera kuyankhapo nkhani basi. Koma maganizo mwanga ndikunena kuti akamayankha makamaka a Electoral Commission aziyankha ndi mtima onena kuti iwodi ndi alifarei. Kuthandauza kunena kuti ngati anthu ena ake sana asangalale ndi zina zake zimene zinachitika, iwo akhale ndi chidwi kuti aonesese kuti chilungamo chioneke. Ndiye kuti tinene kuti a Electoral Commission analako kukayankha tilakwisa ffe kuti iwo anangoyitanidwa kuti bwerani muzayankhe anthu akudandaula pa nkhani imene munakambayi. Koma kuti mwina ndinene kuti poti nkhani idakali ku court ndiyimire pamenepo chifukwa kuti pali zina ndi zina zimene tikumaona zodabwisako, koma pakali pano bwanji tizisiye kaye
ngati ziti
ndifuna sindingayankhule ndifuna zikhanga ndinalowa kusona kuchipinda
komano
ine ngati mozi mwa anthu ndimakondanso zolembalemba mwina zalembapo ziwiri zitatu maganizo anga mayenazonena zinthu
zikadzatha
komanso ndikhupira kuti pali angapa amene azachite zimenezo, komano pali zina ndi zina tikumaziona nkumadaba kuti kodi zinthu zikukhala bwanji.
Dr. Jane Ansah akunena kuti sangatule pansi udindo pakadali pano mpaka court litapeza kuti chisankhochi sichidayende bwino, or until this matter is concluded ku court. Mukuona kuti that is the right decision to do when people are on the streets protesting kuti atule pansi udindo? And feel free to answer me in English because I've seen you're struggling in Jijero.
Whether it is the right thing or not is up to Dr. Jane Ansah as chair of the Electoral Commission. But whether, however, she's going to wait for the decision of the court, I'm not sure, because the court, I don't think, is going to make a decision whether she should resign or not. That's not before the court. To me, whether she resigns or not is a personal conviction. And the problem we are having is people who are associating what may have happened with the fact that she must resign or not. In my own view, resignation, like I said, is a personal conviction. In my own view, even if Dr. Jane Ansah resigned today, to me, it won't mean anything. Because she can resign because, in my view, because she thinks that there are problems out there, and it's a way of trying to cool those problems down. Or she may resign because she thinks that, her name is just being dragged around. So to me, resigning itself is not a sign of guilt. It's not a sign that something has gone wrong. So to me, associating whether she wants to resign or not with whatever decision comes from the court, I can't understand it. To me, it doesn't have to be associated.
If you were to meet Dr. Jane Ansah today, what would you advise her?
If I were to meet her, I'd advise her to use her conscience. Because I always believe that we have principles, all of us. But I always believe your conscience is much more important. Because your conscience is what makes you live with yourself. And if your conscience is telling her that I can go through this, then let her go through this. But if her conscience is telling her that maybe let me step down, that's what.
Why do you think she's still waiting at the courts?
I won't want to speculate. However, I think maybe it is because she thinks people may connect that, why has she resigned? Therefore, she knows something. And that may be true, that people may speculate like that. But to me, like I said, resignation doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just that maybe as a society we're not used to people resigning, especially people in power. But maybe that's what we need to start getting used to. So, for example, the fact that, for example, shops are being looted, a person can decide that I don't want this to continue under my name. Let me just resign. That does not necessarily mean that the person is saying I have done it.
Yeah.
But like I said, we are not as a society, we are not used to a culture of people resigning when people have called for a person to resign. So I don't want to put my views on Dr. Jane Ansah. I think she's competent to make her own decisions. But all I would say is that resigning or not resigning, in my view, has nothing to do with the case.
Is President Mutharika handling these developments pretty well?
When you said developments, you mean related to the election or after the election?
The post-election activities.
The post-election activities. I think he could have done better. And let me be clear there. I read the State of Nation address, and I was a little bit concerned. Why was I concerned? Because I thought he should have used that as an opportunity to unite the country, to reconcile the country. I have also watched some of his TV presentation in which he's essentially mocking the opposition or at least the people who lost. I think he needs now to be head of state. He needs to arise above those things. I'm not saying he cannot make jokes. Some of them are pretty good jokes, and I think there was a time he made some jokes, and you laugh. But I would think the country is under tension.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tension around. People are tensed up, and sometimes what a person says can further infuriate the situation. So, in my view, I think he could have done better. He could have done better in trying to reach out to others. Of course, reaching out also presupposes that those people who are on the other side are going to accept it. But I always believe that when you have two parties that have engaged in some form of duel or some form of engagement, and one party wins and the other party loses, or the other parties lose, to me, it's not the duty of the person who has lost or the party that has lost, but the party that has won. Or as we said, the vanquisher is the one who must offer an olive branch to the vanquished, not the other way around. In other words, the president needs to rise above these petty politics that we're seeing around. Whatever is going to be the outcome of the case, he's still our president. He needs to rise above, because we are all his subjects, or at least we are not necessarily his subjects, but he is our president. We are all looking up to him for various solutions, including the people who are disputing the election. Therefore, in my view, he needs to rise above that. He needs to offer reconciliation words. He needs to show that he is concerned about what is happening.
Do you think he has a true reflection on what is happening on the ground?
I don't know about that.
Because when he makes jokes like those, when the country is on fire, do you think he's in sync with what is happening on the ground?
You could say he's in sync on the supposition that if he's making those jokes, it means he's aware of what is happening. However, I would discourage it. I think the president must rise above these things. You see, there's no model of being a president. But we still expect our president to rise above these things, and especially now, to try to unite the country. Because it's obvious that there are divisions, strong divisions within the country. And I think the president has a duty. He owes it to himself. He owes it to us as a country to try to unite us. It's not going to be easy. But he needs to make sure that he's able to unite the country. He's able to bring the country together, and he can do better. He can do more. I think that's
Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise, we have to take a short break.
Thank you.
We'll be back with you in a moment. In case you're just joining us, this is Times Exclusive, airing on Times Network. My name is Brian Banda. Tonight, I'm joined by Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise, popularly known as Mfundisi. Dr. Madise is the Dean of the School of Law at the University of Malawi's Chancellor College in Zomba. We'll take a short break. We'll be back momentarily.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
This is Times Exclusive on Times Network. I'm joined by Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise, Dean of the School of Law at Chancellor College. Welcome back to the other half of the program.
Thank you.
The election cases in court, we are not talking the nitty-gritty of the case. But there are two ways of the results that we're expecting. Either the courts will say the vote was stolen, we should do a rerun, or the vote was not stolen, the president is indeed the legitimate leader of the country. Now, suppose that the courts have said that the vote was indeed stolen. What is going to happen?
Okay, I think the first thing I must say is, I don't think the court is going to say that the vote was stolen or not stolen.
What are the court going to say?
The court is being asked to, I think from my understanding of the petitioner,
Yes.
to nullify the election
Okay.
and order a rerun. Now, for the court to nullify, it must first find that there were irregularities. It doesn't have to be that somebody actually stole anything.
Okay.
Irregularities. And then the court must also determine whether the irregularities were of such a nature that they affected the results. So I'll give you an example where courts have previously made decisions on that. Is that, so for example, if you have, let's say, 1,000 polling centers,
Yeah.
and on the 999 polling centers, you find that everything went fine. But in one polling center, you find that there were irregularities.
Yeah.
And then if you take out those irregularities, so if you, let's say, exclude the whole polling center, you still find that it does not affect
Yeah.
the net result.
Yeah.
Then the court can say, yes, there were irregularities, but they were not of such a nature that they affected the result. So what the court is really going to look at is whether there were irregularities, one. That's important.
Okay.
And whether the irregularities were so perverse or of such a nature that they affected the result. Now, if the court finds that there were irregularities, so let's assume the court finds that there were no irregularities. If the court finds that there were no irregularities, it will essentially dismiss the petitioner's petition.
Okay.
And it means the status quo will remain.
Okay.
If the court finds that there were irregularities, then the court will have to decide whether the irregularities were of such a nature that they affected the election result.
Okay.
If the court finds that yes, there were irregularities, but the irregularities did not affect the election, they will also say, no, they did not affect the election. And the petitioner, yes, had reason to contest, to contest the election result, but the election is a reflection of how people voted, notwithstanding the irregularities. Then the status quo still remains. However, if the court finds there were irregularities, and the court then further finds that the irregularities were of such a nature or to such an extent that they affected the result, then the court is now will be called upon to make a further order. And in this particular case, the petitioners are asking for a rerun.
Okay.
So, yes, the court can either dismiss the petitioner's petition, or it may find some substance in the petitioner's petition, but find that the irregularity was not as perverse and still not order a rerun. Or it can find that the petitioner's petition has been proved, and that there were irregularities, and that the irregularities were serious, and then the court can order a rerun. So the court has that power.
In the event that the court orders a rerun, will President Mutharika qualify to run in the rerun?
Yeah, why not? What would disqualify him? We must understand that the complaint, as far as I've understood,
Yeah.
is about the way the election was handled, and that the first respondent, who's Professor Mutharika, is being asked to give his side of things because he has an interest to protect. But the real party that really has to give a response to the court is the Electoral Commission. How did it handle the election? And therefore, all the people who were duly qualified to run as presidential candidates before the election would still be duly qualified.
All of them?
All of them. Why not? Because there will be nothing stopping them.
Will make then, in that event, have the mandate to run? Can they run fresh elections?
This is the point. The Electoral Commission is an established statutory body.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about people. It's about the organ.
Okay.
Of course, if that were to happen, then the issue about competence would arise.
Okay.
Essentially, people may be a little uncomfortable that if this were to happen, the current commissioners may not be held to be competent to do that.
Yeah.
However, it would depend on what the court really finds.
Okay.
If the court finds that the irregularities were performed at a very low scale, yes, you could penalize. You could not penalize, but you could say that the Electoral Commission maybe did not properly supervise.
Yeah. Because
we must understand, all the electoral officers are agents of the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission cannot, for example, say, the problem was with the polling staff or what. No. Those polling staff are agents of the Electoral Commission. Under law, it is the Electoral Commission that is mandated to run elections. So whether they would be qualified or competent, I think would depend on the circumstances. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
But most likely, if the court were to order a rerun, there would be serious questions about the competence of the commissioners. There would be serious questions.
Will there be need to hire new commissioners?
There may be need, because the whole thing
then
about...
who can hire the commissioners in that context? The current president?
Because if there is a rerun, this is what would happen. Then the president who was there before the election is still president.
Okay.
He's still president. Of course, you would expect, because at that time we call him what we, in the US they call a lame duck president.
A lame duck president.
Yes, meaning essentially that he has powers, but his powers are beyond his time.
Okay.
Because he has a 5-year term, and he may do certain things after his 5-year term, but the things that he does usually are just to make sure that the government continues running. So I'll give you a good example, is that the president, before his term runs, he can almost do anything. But as his term is about to come, you find that he does things like he dissolves cabinet.
Yeah.
He does not make substantive appointments. And it is because of that his powers are reduced, because he is now trying to handle the situation in a transition way. But you raise a very important question, and maybe the court may have to give guidelines, or in the event that the court finds that for the petitioners, because yes, the law assumes that the president will appoint the commissioners after consultations with the parties that are represented in parliament. But that is assumed when things are normal.
Yeah.
In that situation, let's be honest, things will not be normal.
So the courts might give...
They may give direction. I'm saying they may.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying they may is because courts usually don't want to interfere with policy decisions, or they do not want to interfere with executive decisions. You see, the mandate of the court is essentially to interpret the law and state out the law. Yes, they also can give an effective remedy, but courts don't want to overstep their own boundaries. But I think it would be a very interesting and unique exercise that would have to be undertaken there. But I don't want to speculate.
And as you have said, these matters are in court. We may not go deeper on that note. Interest capping. You have also been speaking about this in Malawi and beyond. Is Malawi ready to go for interest capping?
No, I think, in my own personal view, it's not ready. And the reason why it's not ready has really nothing to do with whether the interest rates are good, because to me they're not, they're exorbitant.
Yeah.
But I think we are trying to address a problem by using a wrong solution. The problem of interest capping, and I've said this openly, is that on paper it looks good, but evidence has shown in the countries where it has essentially been used that what ends up happening is that the banks or the financial institutions, they start becoming selective. Because when you're talking of interest capping, you are saying this is the amount that you can charge. Now, the truth about our interest rates in Malawi is that the interest rates are very high, maybe because of the fiscal policies of government, and also because of the fact that sometimes our economic fundamentals are not in place. So sometimes we may need to solve that. Of course, I have a problem with the high profits that most banks make, meaning that the difference between what is called the base rate, or not the base rate, the savings rate, and the lending rate is very high. The reality in Malawi and most countries is that if you put money in a savings account, currently, you are losing money. And I'll give you an example. Let's assume the savings rate is 5%. So let's assume inflation is at 10%. This is what it actually means. So if you have 100 kwacha, if you put money in a savings account, and after 1 year they'll give you 105 kwacha. But if you have 100 kwacha today, in terms of inflation, the things that you can buy today, you will need 110 kwacha next year.
That's right.
So let's start where we are. We all are talking about 100 kwacha. So you can buy things for 100 kwacha today, and you take 100 kwacha and you put it in an account to say, I want to buy these things next year. But this is the problem. If inflation is at 10%, the things that you are buying today at 100 kwacha, next year they'll be 110 kwacha. Whilst the money that you put in a bank savings account, it will only be 105 kwacha. How are you going to buy? That's why there's a problem.
So you wouldn't recommend interest capping?
No, I will not recommend interest capping because of the fact that banks will start being selective.
In what context?
They'll start because now banks will realize that even if this person doesn't pay, the only interest that we can charge is the cap. So they'll start looking at you, Mr. Banda, what is your credit history? What do you have? What assets do you have? And what will happen is that most of the people will not be able to go and get loans. That's the reality, including some of the people who are in the forefront talking about interest capping.
Let's talk about your book, The Regulation of Mobile Money. What are you trying to tell us in this book?
What I'm trying to say is that the first thing I'm trying to say is that I'm challenging the dominant concept of money. And I'm saying that money has now evolved. So money is no longer the money that you have. So, for example, if you have, do you have a note in your pocket?
I think I have a note.
Let me show you.
I have a note.
Let me just show you.
It may not be
It
substantial.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Now, if I take your note, what you call this money, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what you call
money.
it. Yes, that's what you call it. This is money. Okay. Now this one is a new one. So this one is different. But let me try to look at an old one.
Okay.
Because I just want to illustrate to you what I mean. I hope I can be able to show this to me. Now, I think these ones have changed. So
these are equally new ones.
yes. So, but my point is,
yes,
the notes, at least the old notes, used to have a wording.
Okay.
And the wording said, "Promise to pay the
yeah, I remember. This one doesn't have?
No, that one doesn't have.
Okay.
So maybe it has changed. But it used to say, promise.
No, it's there.
It is there.
It's there. It's that you can't see.
I can't see it.
Yeah, but it says, promise
to pay
the bearer on demand the sum of 2,000 kwacha issued under the Reserve Bank of Malawi Act 1989.
So what this saying is saying, which you are calling money.
Yeah.
It is saying, when you present this, the Reserve Bank is promising you as the bearer of this note that when you present it on demand, they're going to pay you 2,000. So if they're going to pay you 2,000, what is this?
That's 2,000 kwacha.
No, it's a bearer's note.
Okay.
It's essentially an IOU.
Okay.
So exactly, this is not the money. The money is in the bank. So if you produce this, they should give you 2,000 kwacha. But have you ever seen that 2,000 kwacha? No. So what am I saying? The concept of money is very elusive. So if we go back to where we started with barter and all sorts of money.
Yeah.
Money started essentially as a way in which you'd value something. Now money is represented by paper. But now, increasingly, we are having new forms of money. So mobile money is one of them. Digital money is another. Facebook is now introducing money.
Yeah.
Mobile money is one of them. Cryptocurrencies are one of them. So in my book, essentially, I'm arguing that we have new forms of money, and they produce a challenge. The challenge that they are producing is that our laws and our regulatory framework only looks essentially at that type of money.
Okay.
It does not look at the money in your phone. So it tries to regulate it, but it tries to regulate it as what is called quasi-money, meaning that not real money. My argument is that, no, it is actually real money. And because it is real money, it requires a change or a paradigm shift in the mind of the regulator on how to regulate new forms of money. So I'm saying mobile money is here to stay with us. We need to start regulating it as money.
Should companies that are running with mobile money run them as separate companies, or they should still be part, like a subsidiary of the company?
No, actually, they are running them as separate companies.
They are?
Yeah, but in name. Because I've gone to most of them and I find that the mobile money unit is still under the same building.
Yeah.
They should not. In fact, they are different because mobile money companies are financial service institutions.
Okay.
Host most of the telecom companies or the mobile network operators are communication companies.
So are they breaking the law?
No, they are not.
They are not?
The reason I'm saying they're not breaking the law is because it is the law that is playing catch up.
I see.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to discuss in my book. That it's time the law caught up. Because these things came, and the law seems to have been caught unawares. To say, what is this? Is this a communication service? Is it a financial service? So my argument is, it is a financial service, but it is also a communication service. Meaning, the communications regulator and the financial service regulator, maybe they need to start talking a little bit more. Essentially, in my book, I'm actually recommending a new framework of regulation on the basis that this is the new model of money.
What are the challenges of this new model of money?
The challenges of this new model of money is that, one, we don't have the tools to properly regulate it. So we need to develop those tools. Two is that if you put up too many regulations or too many bottlenecks, you may actually harm the very same concept that you're trying to do. Because mobile money is a way of making people who are outside the financial system to be financially included. And that means sometimes being a little bit less stringent. So if you start regulating mobile money as a financial service, there is a danger. You're going to leave those people out. However, it needs to be regulated. The other challenge is that it can be used, if it's not properly regulated, for illicit purposes. Much easier. Because of the way...
Than the actual
money.
Okay.
Than money in the bank.
Okay.
Now, this one can also be used for illicit purposes.
Okay.
That's why I always say that every time I see too much cash, I get very suspicious. And because financial service regulation is my area of research interest, I get very suspicious. And even when I go to any vendor and I ask them that I want to pay you by card or by check or through bank transfer, and they say, no, pay me by cash, I get very suspicious. Because handling too much cash is a telltale sign of there might be issues here.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time. Lastly, let's talk about the judges, the judiciary. Who polices the judges? It looks like they are sacred type of people. You cannot suspend a judge unless you school me. Who polices them? There are some judges that they don't issue judgments. Is there anyone who is policing the judges?
Yes, they are. The first point is that judges in the High Court, for example, have what are called judges who are in charge. So a judge in charge.
Okay.
Or like I like calling them judge president.
Okay.
So that's the first point of policing. Because they are the ones who are going to allocate cases. But it must be understood that those judges usually are on the same level. So there is a limit to what they can do. However, the Chief Justice does police his judges, there may be issues, but he can't police his judges. And we also have the Judicial Service Commission,
Okay.
which is essentially the body that employed the judges and determines these conditions of service. It can't police them. That said,
Yeah.
there are legitimate concerns about judgments. I agree with you 100%.
You agree with me?
I do agree.
Yeah.
I do agree with you as a teacher of law and also as a legal practitioner, because I still practice my law.
Okay.
And this sometimes hurts. It hurts you as a practitioner. It also hurts the people that we represent, our clients. And I don't always buy this defense that, oh, we don't have enough judges. Yes, we don't have enough judges, but that's not the true reason why judgments are not being written. Sometimes it's just people just are not doing their work.
Do they get suspended?
They can't get suspended, but
No, the question is, do they get suspended?
I am aware of one.
Okay.
Who was potentially suspended. I can't reveal his name.
Okay.
Potentially suspended because of an issue that had to do with the fact that something within the judiciary, that essentially things went broke loose.
Okay.
But having said that,
Yeah.
I would be lying to say that I have heard of a judge being suspended. But to say that there are no sanctions would not be incorrect.
Okay.
But you must understand that by its very nature, the judiciary is an arm of government where you really don't want to be told every day of what the Chief Justice has done or say to his judges. Because every time you appear, because let me give an example. If you have a case before a court, when you appear before a judge, you want to believe that this judge is going to resolve your issue.
He's an honest man.
Yeah, it's not necessarily honest,
Okay.
but he's going to resolve your issue.
Okay. They may not be honest.
No, I'm not talking about the issue. The issue of honest doesn't arise,
Okay.
in my view.
Okay.
The issue is about that they're going to hear my case and that they're going to decide. However, can you imagine then, if you are going to appear before a judge and then the Chief Justice maybe just admonished this judge 2 days ago and then it's all over the papers?
Yeah.
How are you going to feel? You're going to feel that this judge may not be the most competent.
Yeah.
So we need to preserve that. However, having said that, and having given the judges the exclusivity to interpret law,
Yeah.
and it's not just judges, including us as legal practitioners, because we kind of have this exclusivity. Ordinary legal practitioners can go in certain, for example, in high courts. It doesn't mean you cannot go there.
Yeah.
But there'll be language which you will not understand.
That's
There'll
right.
be processes we
Yeah.
will not understand.
Yeah.
So that means we as legal practitioners and them as judges, we owe it to people to make sure that we do our best. So I think we can do better. Yes, we have fewer judges than we would ideally have.
Yeah.
We need more judges. But I'm saying that the judges that we have also need to do their part. So they need to deliver judgments. And yes, the issue of judgments has been talked about. It's not only a problem to Malawians in general, but even to us as legal practitioners. We get concerned.
Time is of essence. You have been abroad. You came back to Malawi. Are you optimistic about this country, Dr. Madise?
Yes.
What gives you the optimism?
In that when I look at people, my own view about people is that there's much more good in them. But we need to rise above certain things that are pulling us apart or pulling us down. So, for example, we need to rise above better issues like simple politicking, things like tribalism, things like
Corruption.
regionalism. Oh, corruption is a big one. I'm saying it's a big one because it seems all of a sudden it's become the norm.
Yeah.
We only talk about it because there's a report around it. Sometimes you read in the papers almost the whole week. Today there'll be a scandal, tomorrow there'll be a scandal, the next day there'll be a scandal. And then the country seems to go back as if everything is normal. We need to rise above that. And my view is that it's not that people are not concerned, but maybe the dynamics are such a way that they are allowing this to happen. But I believe a time will come when we shall all rise up and say, enough is enough. We cannot have this. And to me, that really has nothing to do with politics.
Okay.
It's about systems.
Unfortunately, we don't have time. What are you reading this week?
This week, I'm reading a novel by one of my favorite novelists, Robert Ludlum. rare that it's a novel I haven't read before.
Okay.
Now I don't know whether it is actually him or someone under his name using it, but that's what I'm reading.
Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise. Why do they call you Mfundisi?
It just simply means teacher in Zulu.
Mfundisi, quite intriguing hearing you talk tonight. We wish we had more time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, on that note, we conclude this week's edition of the program Times Exclusive. In this edition, I've been talking to Dr. Sunduzwayo Madise, Mfundisi. He's the Dean of the School of Law at Chancellor College in Zomba. My name is Brian Banda. Until next week, it's goodbye from Blantyre.